So dear students, welcome to my YouTube channel PCM Academy and myself Prosenjit Mullik. And we are in a lecture series for JEE Main, NEET and JEE Advanced also. And in the last class, we have discussed about the important angular variable that is called angular displacement. But in this class, I will discuss about angular velocity. This is the next important angular variable you can say. So now let me discuss about this quantity that is angular velocity. Okay. And the concept is same that we have discussed in linear motion also, but the only difference is the notation, and obviously the motion here in this case along the perimeter of the circle. Okay, and there the path was straight line, but here obviously circular motion because we are in the chapter of circular motion. So obviously the motion is circular motion, but the concept, the physical measurement, the style of measurement you can say are the same. Okay, so let me understand about the thing by using the, of course, the mathematical variable. Okay, so in the linear case that we have discussed earlier, that what was the velocity, just simple two types of velocities are there obviously. One is average velocity, okay, and another is instantaneous velocity. Okay, and I can denote it as bar, and this is simply I can write it as v instantaneous. Okay, so maybe let me take it like this. This kind of angular bracket, sometimes average velocity can be written. So this is instantaneous velocity and this is average velocity, and we have discussed that the average velocity is nothing but, sometimes we will write it like this, VAV, and this is del S over del T. And if you talk about limit delta t tends to 0, del S by del T, then it will give you ds by dt, and this is nothing but the instantaneous velocity. But this instantaneous velocity is more fundamental. This is obviously more fundamental. Why? This is more fundamental. Because this instantaneous velocity is applicable for uniform motion as well as for non-uniform motion, but this average velocity is only applicable for uniform motion. It is only applicable for uniform motion, but this instantaneous velocity will be applicable both for uniform and non-uniform. But it will be more significant, of course, when we will talk about non-uniform motion. It will be more significant. And what do you actually mean by uniform and non-uniform motion? Uniform motion means for every time interval, the distance travels, the displacement occurred for the particle is same for every instant of time. Okay, that means v is equal to constant actually. Okay, so this ratio will be constant for each and every time. This ratio will be constant, and in that case you can say this is a uniform motion. But if s is a function of time, it will vary with respect to t for different time interval. If the del s is different, then it is called non-uniform motion. But here what we have talked about for linear motion or the motion along straight line, but the same thing can be converted here for angular velocity, and that is obviously for circular motion. Particle moving on a perimeter of the circle or the circumference of the circle. So initially let me take this is at this point. Okay, and let me take that this is at t is equal to 0 suppose, and at this point this is at t is equal to t1, and at this point at t is equal to t2. So let me take this is a reference line. Okay, this is a reference line. So with respect to this, when the particle is from this point to this point, let me this angle as theta1. So this is the angular displacement, and this is the theta2, the final angle that have made by the radius vector. Actually you can say this is the radius vector. Initially it is theta1 and final it is theta2. Okay, so here what was the thing, let me take for linear motion also. So if this is x is equal to 0, then initially at t is equal to 0 the particle is here. Suppose at t is equal to t1, the particle at this point x1, and when t is equal to t2, the particle is here and that is x2. So what is the displacement? That is change of position obviously. So final position is x2 and the initial position is x1. So change in position is this, and this is nothing but x2 minus x1. Similarly, you can say here also that this is the initial position, obviously this is the angular position, and this is the final position, theta 2. So you can say the angular displacement between the time interval t1, t2. So here the time interval is, so here the time interval, if you talk delta t, then it will be t2 minus t1, same as here. Here also the time interval is t2 minus t1. Okay. And what is the angular displacement? The angular displacement here, angular displacement is del theta. If you want, you can write it like this, del theta. Okay. So it will be theta 2 minus theta 1. So what will be the average angular velocity? Like this, the average angular velocity omega av, you can say this is del theta upon del t. That means it is theta 2 minus theta 1 upon t2 minus t1. And if you want to know about the omega instantaneous, then obviously this is limit delta t tends to 0, okay, and del theta by del t. So this is obviously d theta by dt. Okay, so we can write it like this. Now the question is that is omega is scalar or vector? Obviously omega is vector quantity, because we have earlier said that the small angular displacement, if we talk about small angular displacement, then this is vector quantity. So obviously when we talk about these things, these all are a small quantity. Okay, I have written here del theta to compare with this just. But if you talk about the angular velocity, as this is vector quantity, then to be this vector quantity, obviously del theta must be small, because I have said earlier that del theta will be only vector quantity if it is small. Okay, so if you can't understand from here, you can see the previous video. Okay, so here I have discussed about angular displacement, lot of things about angular displacement. So this instantaneous omega, we can treat this instantaneous omega or omega, you can say, whenever I am saying that this angular velocity, and velocity is always vector quantity. Okay, so I have written over here angular velocity, so it is obviously omega vector. So we have to write it in vector notation. So omega is nothing but d theta vector upon dt. So this is better. If we define omega like this is better, more better. But you can roughly define it like this to compare with this velocity. But here you know this displacement is always vector. Maybe it is small, maybe it is large, but it is vector quantity. But here the story is different. Here if this theta is very large, this theta 2 minus theta 1 is very large, then this is not the vector quantity. But if this theta 2 minus theta 1 is small, then obviously this is vector quantity. Okay, so in that respect we have to take this as very small. And obviously when delta t tends to 0, then it will be instantaneous and there is more small, more and more small. Okay, so actually these are actually measured in very small scale. But you can actually measure omega average for large displacement also, for large angular displacement also, but that is not the vector quantity. Please keep in mind this thing. So whenever numerically you can measure this omega av for large theta 2 minus theta 1 also, but if you talk about vector quantity, then this is not vector. Okay, so symbolically if you want to define this quantity correctly, then you should write it like this, because here I am using the word velocity, and velocity is vector quantity, and omega will be vector only if theta is vector, and theta will be vector if it is small. So obviously we have to write in this fashion that omega is equal to d theta by dt, and this is more correct, more accurate actually. But numerically you can measure this quantity also for large theta. Okay, so this is actually the instantaneous omega, that is d theta upon dt. Okay, and here also these kinds of situations will arise, uniform or non-uniform. So for uniform motion, if you talk about uniform angular velocity or uniform motion, then for uniform motion obviously omega is equal to constant. This omega is equal to constant. Here as you have seen here that v is equal to constant. That means what? Omega is equal to constant means for equal time interval, it will for equal time interval the radius vector makes equal angle with the reference line. So if you talk about another time, that is t3, and if this is theta, if this is theta 3, then obviously if this is uniform circular motion, then theta 1, then for this time interval, that is t2 minus t1, the angular displacement is theta 2 minus theta 1, and for this time interval, what is the displacement? If we talk about t2 minus t3 minus t2, and if this time interval and this time interval is same, then obviously the angular displacement, that is obviously here theta 3 minus theta 2, and this will be same as theta 2 minus theta 1. So for each and every time interval, if the time interval will be same, then obviously this angular displacement will be same. And if this is happening, then obviously you can understand that del theta upon del t, this ratio will be constant. And when this ratio will be constant, that means omega is equal to constant. So in that case, we can call it that uniform angular velocity, or sometimes it can be called as uniform circular motion, or UCM. Okay, we can write it, and we will more concentrate on this thing, that is uniform circular motion. We will more concentrate on this thing, and the acceleration of this particle, when we talk about the acceleration of particle, we will more focus on this uniform circular motion. Okay, but obviously we will understand what will happen if the motion is not uniform. For non-uniform motion also we will talk about everything, but we will concentrate more and more on uniform circular motion according to our syllabus. Okay, so this is the whole story about the angular velocity. This is the definition of angular velocity, and you can compare always this angular velocity with average velocity. But one thing keep in mind, that these all are the, I have told earlier that these all are the axial vectors, and being axial vector, these are obviously the pseudo vector. So something is here happening complicated than this. So here obviously you can say that at any, as I have said, that at any displacement, maybe it is small, maybe it large, does not matter, it will be vector quantity, but here it will not be vector quantity. So that's why everything will be more complicated. And here the convention is that you have to take the direction of these quantities like angular velocity, angular displacement, these all are the axial vectors, so it will be along the axis. So let me define again the direction of this angular velocity as well as angular displacement. So you have to use always right hand rule. Okay, you have to always use right hand rule. So if we take this as the plane, and on this plane, if the particle is rotating like this, let me consider the particle is rotating like this in this plane. So if you take, this is the direction of rotation, so you have to curl your right hand like this, so your thumb will give you the direction of the pseudo vector quantity or the axial vector quantity. So the axial vector will be along this direction. You maybe talk about theta, that is d theta, or you maybe talk about obviously omega. Okay, so omega और थीटा दोनों का जो डायरेक्शन हो वो होगा एक्सियल एक्सिस बराबर. ओके, सो these all are the axial vectors. Maybe it will be omega or will be d theta, even alpha also we will discuss later on the angular acceleration also. Okay, so this is all about the angular velocity. Okay, but it is not actually the particle is moving upward. The particle is rotating along the plane perpendicular to the axis. Okay, so maybe the direction will be this side, sometimes it will be this side also. If you take the direction of rotation along this, if the particle is rotating along this direction, so this is what is anti-clockwise direction. Okay, anti-clockwise, and this is actually clockwise direction. Okay, so for clockwise direction, so you have to curl your finger along this side, so it will be into the plane. Okay, so it will be downward, along downward. Okay, so if you take this, then your thumb will be downward, and here if you take this, then your thumb will be upward. Okay, so this will be the direction of d theta and the direction of omega. Okay, and now what is the relation between the angular velocity and the linear velocity? We have to see this. Okay, so now let me discuss about the relation. Okay, So relation between angular velocity and linear velocity. So relation between angular velocity, that is omega, and I like to define omega always in this pattern, d theta upon dt. Okay, so that this confusion of scalar and vector will be gone. So we have to take omega is equal to d theta by dt. I will always like to define omega like this, and this is a very serious issue, because if you take this omega as d theta by dt, so two things will be gone. One is the confusion about vector or scalar, and the second thing is, I have already told that always instantaneous thing, maybe instantaneous velocity, maybe instantaneous acceleration, all are the more fundamental than average. So if this will be applicable for average also, this will be applicable for instantaneous also, and this will create a very good balance, that we have already lost the balance between scalar and vector. So it will give you the correct expression also in terms of vector, and as it is velocity, we and velocity is vector quantity, so we are always try to express omega as vector quantity. And all the, if you discussed all the things, if you analyze all the things, then you can understand, then this is the best representation of omega. Okay, in every cases, in a linear case also, for acceleration also, in all cases instantaneous thing is always the best choice, instantaneous expression is always the best choice. But here it can be more understandable that why it is best choice. Not only it is applicable for uniform or non-uniform, but it will also remove your paradox between scalar and vector. So in that purpose, this is more better, I think. Okay, so I like to always use omega as d theta by dt, not like theta 2 minus theta 1 or del theta del t. Okay, so this is the relation between angular velocity and linear velocity, obviously, and linear velocity. So we know from our previous knowledge that s is equal to r theta. Okay, and this is the relation between the s is the linear displacement and this is the angular displacement. And if we take the differentiation of this, so we'll get ds by dt is equal to r into d theta by dt plus theta into dr by dt. But as r is the constant, this is the radius vector, you know, r is radius vector always, so r is obviously constant. So if r is equal to constant, so dr by dt will be 0. So here r is equal to constant, so obviously dr upon dt is equal to 0. So in that case you can neglect this term. So here ds upon dt is equal to r into d theta by dt. So it will give you this ds by dt is equal to v and d theta by dt is equal to omega. So v is equal to r omega. So this is the relation between the linear velocity and the angular velocity. But this is obviously the scalar relation. This is obviously the scalar relation. So if you start with the scalar relation, then you will end up with the scalar relation. But if you want to know about the vector relation, then you have to start with the vector relation of angular displacement and linear displacement. So we have already discussed that in that case ds vector will be d theta cross r, and what you have to do, you have to just divide by dt. So you will not need to differentiation. Okay, divide by dt only. So ds by dt is equal to obviously d theta by dt cross r. Okay, so ds by dt is v, so v is equal to nothing but omega cross r, as this d theta by dt is equal to omega. So this is the vector relation, this is the vector relation. Okay, and this is the scalar relation, this is the scalar relation. Okay, so this is all about the angular velocity. Now we can represent this angular velocity in terms of time period and frequency also. So let me discuss this small thing also in this video. That one is time period and another is frequency, obviously, and we can write this in terms of omega. So what is the time period? Time period, what is actually mean by time period? So the time required to complete one rotation. Okay, so if this is a circular path, so if a particle is particle is rotating along this path. So for one complete rotation, so if it is starting from here, then it will come to this point again, and the time required for this case is called time period. So total time required to complete one complete revolution. Okay, so this is the time period. So this is the time period. Now for complete time period, from here to here, for complete time period, this radius vector make an angle 2 pi. So you can say here the angular velocity, sorry, angular displacement, you can say total angular displacement you can say this theta is nothing but 2 pi. So you can write this omega as d theta by dt, and here the d theta means theta. If you integrate this complete theta, so it will be 2 pi and dt will be capital T. So because for one complete revolution it is 2 pi, or sometimes you can simply write it as theta by t also, because here only the measurement is, here the numerical measurement we need. Okay, so you can write it as theta by t, and theta is 2 pi, so t is capital T, because for one complete revolution it will take capital T time, because this is the time period. So obviously this omega is equal to 2 pi by t. So we can write time period also in terms of omega, that t is equal to 2 pi by omega. Okay, now what is the frequency? Frequency is the number of rotation, total number of rotation per unit time. Okay, so number of rotation or revolution per unit time, this is called frequency. Okay, so number of revolution per unit time. So for one revolution it will take t time. Okay, so in time t it will complete one revolution. So for each time it will be completed 1 by t revolution. So total number of revolution per time. Okay, so in t time you will get one revolution. So for one time you will get 1 by t number of revolution or number of rotation, complete rotation. Okay, and this thing can be written as n, that is the frequency, or sometimes it can be written as f also. Okay, so this is the frequency of revolution. And if you write it like this, so n is 1 by t, so it will be omega by 2 pi. So n is equal to omega by 2 pi. Okay, so this is how we can represent omega in terms of t and frequency also. Okay, thank you.